One under the sun. Welcome back for another episode of the Container Podcast. With me, Kyle. What's up, my friend?
Hello, hello, hello.
And Jacky. Ultimate drum roll.
Ooh, Jacky boy.
Where you at, man?
Oh, you didn't. Oh, yo, I said hello. Maybe
Okay. I thought you were keeping us waiting, man.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, I'm not in for a dramatic.
Entrance, yeah, not today.
Not today, no.
But there will be a lot of drama today.
Oh,
yes,
I think
there
so.
will.
Maybe not a lot.
There will be some discussions.
Because today is episode 25, the fabled episode. The one where we will do a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild retrospective.
Yes.
I think everybody's very excited for that.
Oh, we already got someone in the chat. That's nice. Hello, Dragozilia Zor.
Man, that's my favorite dinosaur back in the day. Thanks for coming through, my friend. People were memeing
Yes.
me in the Discord group for the Dragon Ball Budokai Discord group, and they were telling me, man, are you doing this again? A 7-month hiatus? Like, what are you doing, man? You gotta post some videos. And I'm like, guys, I did my quota during the summer. I uploaded enough and now I'm gone. It's just that, once school starts and life gets busier, some things have to be put in the back burner. And many people will wonder, where has he been? And he's back for this?
Yeah.
It's been a long time also.
Exactly, our podcast have been on the back burner for a long time, because last time I remember playing the game that we're supposed to review today was before school. Like we were talking about it and preparing for the review ourselves, Jacky.
I think it was like mid-August, so something like that. So yeah, it's a while ago. It took some time.
A lot of time, but we're here together in good health and poised to do this episode honor, because it's episode 25, man. It's a super important number.
Yeah. It's not by chance that we chose this 25th episode to talk about this game, because it's one of those games that we have a lot to say about. And I don't know if it's a change, but I'm sure there's going to be some good discussion about it, because we don't agree with all our different opinions on this one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I want to start by just running you guys' memory about the game and try and remember its first reveal at E3. I think it was E3 2014, if I remember well.
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Do you guys even know what I'm talking about?
I remember and seeing the so if I remember correctly, you have to correct me if I'm wrong here, that in the beginning it was I think there was just maybe a trailer or something, but there was one year, I don't know if it was 2013 or whatnot, where what they had done was like a tree house, and they had like actual gameplay and stuff playing and stuff.
That was like E3 2016.
Yes.
Where they did like an 8-hour stream or something like that, something ridiculous. And we could see the game.
That was the first time I had any, I think, like knowledge of it, or I think I had knowledge of it before, but that was the first time that I really had like where I was aware of it. Let's say
You never
more
saw it in the Game Awards?
I think I probably saw. I can't imagine I haven't seen the trailer or the announcement.
Like in the
But-
Game Awards, right? It was Eiji Aonuma and Shigeru Miyamoto that were showing something off screen with the Wii U gamepad, and it was kind of, you couldn't see well, but they were demonstrating like a proof of concept, what you could be able to do and all. Most of the
Well,
features.
then I don't have a lot of knowledge of it, or I don't have any memory of it.
Yeah, most of the footage that they shown anyways were scrapped that featured the Wii U gamepad. But some things survived, like the Sheikah Slate pointing and clicking to put a pin on the map. Like what you see, you pin it with like a laser beam, and then if you pull up your map, you could see where you placed it in the real world. So that was something that was kept, but most of the other stuff, it was scrapped. And yeah, Link, while he was doing this animation to fly, or not fly, just to the paraglider, right? It was the sailcloth from Skyward Sword, so it was really a bit it was not a finished product. But I don't want to talk about that first. I want to talk about the very first thing we saw. That E3 2014. So go ahead, Jacky.
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, it was a trailer, and it was, Link just staring at the environment. It was the open world, and he's on his horse, and he's watching the beautiful scenery, and it's the first time like Aonuma is just he snaps his fingers and he goes, well, this is the new world of Zelda, and then there's he just let us observe the environment without anything moving and all, and then there's a guardian coming, and there's a chase, and then Link jumps off his horse and he shoots an arrow at the guardian.
Yeah,
that was like the first thing that we ever saw from that game.
We had a first look at the new art style, a first look at the new world, and the main enemy being the guardian, and the ancient arrows, that blue glowing arrow. But more than that, just before everything was shown and we could put his words into concrete pictures and like project ourselves into what could be, he was talking about how they kinda perfected the Zelda formula, and that a lot of they caught a lot of flack with Skyward Sword. I don't know if you guys remembered, but people didn't really like Skyward Sword. They thought it was a little lame, that it did the same thing, and that it held up only because it's the tried and true formula, right? Some people would say that that formula, the special items, dungeons, boss keys, and things like that, was already perfected in Zelda 3, so A Link to the Past. But then they moved on to 3D, right? And we had Ocarina of Time, who for like transition to the third dimension, I think it was almost flawless, like taking the 2D concept and applying it to the 3D space. So how could they do more than that?
I think they didn't, though. I disagree with that statement that he said that they perfected the Zelda formula.
So what he said is that instead of like trying to do like they always did, which is Wind Waker to Twilight Princess, same formula. Twilight Princess to Skyward Sword, same formula. The world changes, dungeon change, ways to control change, many things change, but the formula is about the same. He was like, you know what, we had to look at what we wanted to do new, and the new thing they wanted to do was to go back to the roots, the Zelda 1 roots, where that idea that Miyamoto had back in the day, which was when I was a little kid and I was playing in my garden and imagining myself fairy tales and like making stuff out of very little and having fun there and going left and right, no particular order, and trying to, explore. It gave us that game in 1986, but then they were like, you know what if we had today's tech? Today's tech and that idea to be able to be free to explore the world. And in Zelda 1, you could do so many things for the time, but now, how much more can you do? So that's where they brought up the idea of that physics engine and the wind and the temperature and, like I said, physics, so gravity and everything being like respecting the same game logic. And if you can do this, you can apply it to something else, because in the end it shares the same physics system. It's not made per item basis. It's more cohesive and all. The promise was so big, right? It was like, if you guys do what you're trying to tell us, right, it's gonna be the best game. Like, how can you do that? It's like you're getting the fans overhyped. And they were like, nah, we're hard at work and you can expect it for 2015. And yeah, about that, Jacky, I don't think it came out in 2015, right?
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Because, like Kyle said, the first time we saw real gameplay that wasn't like alpha gameplay from the version that was scrapped that you described. The first time that we ever saw gameplay was at E3 2016, and then it was released almost a year after that. So it took a lot of time, but it's always like that with Nintendo. They like to take their time and they like to apply themselves so that the final product is, almost perfect in what they had in mind, as close to perfect as they imagine.
Yep. And imagine, right? People were buying the Wii U for this Zelda Wii U. That's the name of the game. There was no Breath of the Wild. So I think you were one of them, right?
Yeah, I was one of them because I didn't buy the Switch, and I still don't have a Switch, by the way. But I bought the Wii U thinking, well, there's always a Zelda, so it's gonna be worth it. And like you said, it was always Zelda Wii U until it became Breath of the Wild for the new Nintendo Switch.
I didn't buy anything to play it. I actually didn't even buy the game.
My God, how did you do this, you wizard?
I may or may not have sailed the high seas and also transcended the barriers of Nintendo and played it on PC.
I see.
Well, we'll never know, but like you said, it's a possibility.
I don't know what happened. It's a magical, something magical happened, but yeah, indeed, like I said, I did not play it on any Nintendo consoles.
So, in short, you decided to give the game a try because of the humongous hype that's been building up since E3 2014. Because, as we said, it was slated for a release in 2015, and then pushed to 2016, and then pushed again to 2017. How did you live through the delays first?
Well, the thing is, I've played some Zelda games, but I've never been a massive fan. I've never had a Nintendo console before the Switch. Well, I had a DS, right? But and that's where I played my one and only Zelda game, which is Phantom Hourglass.
Yes, what a great
So
game.
yeah, and I loved it, right? But I loved it, but I was never a big, huge fan of it. But year after year, hearing praise about it being a perfect game, perfect this, perfect that, and everybody that I knew played it and loved it. So I said to myself, well, look, I have the opportunity now to play it on PC at 60 FPS. And so I said to myself, all right, well, I'll give it a try, right?
And that's what you
And
did.
yeah, I guess we'll talk about it later
Or
on.
maybe not, I don't know. As for us, we were planning to get it for the Wii U. Because I had the Wii U in 2014, if I remember well. It was a birthday gift for my little brother. It was a console we had the pleasure to play with and test at our cousin's place, and it I don't know how to say it, but when you play the Wii U, when you play Mario Kart 8, it was the first ever HD console for Nintendo, and it was the first ever Mario Kart in HD. It was absolutely amazing, and some other games like Nintendo Land and Super Mario Brothers Wii were like so good to us for our taste that it deserved a shot. So that's when we got it, and then we bought Smash. We can talk about Smash for another time, but Smash for Wii U was hundreds of hours of playtime. It was a blast, but secretly we were all waiting for that Zelda game. Like every console has its Zelda, and the Wii U was not going to be any exception. But once it got closer to release, actually the previous E3 2016, they announced that it would be a release like not only on Wii U but on actually they didn't say it at E3 because the Switch was announced in October. So we knew that a new console was coming, right? But officially we didn't know until a while, like took
It was January 2017. That's where they announced the release date of Zelda with Switch.
there you go. So
Yeah, with
but
that epic trailer, you know what I'm talking about.
yep. But before January, in October, you could see the reveal of the Switch with the guy playing Zelda on his TV and then picking up this new device and having
You're
the
right.
horse and all. So we were like, yo, Zelda is running on this shit. And so that was like a confirmed that it's gonna be both on Wii U and Nintendo Switch. So once I saw that, I was like, you know what? I'm such a Nintendo fanboy, such a sucker for their IP that I will get the game and the console day one. It's gonna be the first ever console, and I get day one ever. And that's what I did. March 3rd, we came through. Actually, I have to rewind a little bit. March 2nd or March 1st, a group of Russian hackers managed to get the Wii U game from the official servers of Nintendo, and they were distributing it to everybody. But you had to pay a small fee to get access or something like that, to be able maybe actually no to just to be able to download it faster, because it was on a far away server, and it was on Mega Upload, I think, or Mega to simply. And if you pay for Mega Premium or something, it doesn't bottleneck your connection. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hack the Wii U. I am going to put Zelda on it, and I'm gonna play it 24 hours in advance. But essentially, it wasn't me that was playing. I gave it to my little brother who didn't have school. I did. So I went and he played for the whole day. But the day afterwards, March 3rd. Oh boy, that was a special day, Jacky, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we played not 24 hours, but we played for the most part of the day and that night.
It was absolutely crazy. It
So
was one of the most unique experiences we ever had. So the hype, right? And then we get the game. You got it for your system. I got it for the Switch. And I had the hacked version. We had like multiple instances of Breath of the Wild running in the house.
all trying different stuff because there's you can choose where to do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want. So we had all different paths. So yeah, maybe we could talk about that because it's it's one of
beginning.
the beginning. It's one of the most unique types of tutorials out there in video games. So yeah, I think we should talk about that. Our impressions of the Great Plateau, because you said, oh yeah, there was like 8 hours gameplay at E3 2016. Well, it was all in the Great Plateau. There was nothing outside of it, so it's all in this small area that is the starting point of the game. So maybe I'll start because I think that you and I, Momo, we share a lot of a lot of
Yes.
love for this game.
Yes,
So
yes.
maybe it's good that if we try to separate our different point of views with having Kyle going in the middle. So the Great Plateau, like I said, to me is one of the greatest tutorial, if not the greatest tutorial in the video game, because it just lets you learn by yourself and it lets you explore and understand what the game is going to be about in a small area that is representative of what the rest of the game is. And
I
I
call
remember,
it a microcosm of Hyrule.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have
that's pretty
the
much what it.
whole experience. Not the whole experience, like you don't have the
No, it's like a sample. It's a sample of what you're going to experience next,
a
and
very
it
good
gives
one
you.
at that. Yes.
Oh yes, yes. You have like 4 shrines. You have a small building. You have some type of enemies. You have different type of weathers. You can explore the physics of the environment and everything. So there's a lot to do. It's and it's such a small area compared to the rest of the game that it's mind blowing that this is just the start. I remember when I finished the Great Plateau, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" When you see like the rest of the map, you're like, "Oh my god, it's so small compared to the rest." So I cannot wait to see what happens next. Because even from the Great Plateau, you can see far ahead. You can see the mountains, you can see the castle, you can see the desert, you can see the Twin. I was going to say Twin Peaks because of the
Dueling
TV show,
Peaks.
but it's Dueling Peaks. Yeah, you're right. So there's all these visual cues in the distance that give you hints of what you can explore and find there. And then when you're done with the Great Plateau, you can go. But that first, what is it, like 30 minutes? I know I know you can do it in like 5 or 10 minutes, but like for normal players, it's like 30 minutes, and it's such a blast. Really love that part. So
Do
yeah,
you
I don't know what.
remember when we played through the Great Plateau and if you do all the shrines to get the tools you need for the rest of the game, you do some great distances without fast traveling. And we were like, bro,
Yes.
this feels like the whole world. And we already know by looking in the distance that it's far from being everything. But it was crazy to us. When people were describing it as a larger than Skyrim or something, I was like, bro, in a Zelda game, like, how will they make it work? Did you guys. First, let's finish about the Great Plateau. What did you guys think
Yeah.
of? Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
I'll agree with you guys that I find that the Great Plateau is is a amazing tutorial. I think that it does exactly what it needs to get you intrigued on the story, on the gameplay, on the exploration, on everything. It's just like you said, it's like its own little game, and I can't say anything bad about it. I really really enjoyed it. The only thing that I can maybe find a little criticism on is that I find that the last shrine, I found that it I was expecting a bit more, especially when we have all those powers. I was expecting one that was maybe combine all of them at the same time. But if not, I loved it.
What do you mean by the last shrine?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question because there's no like specific order.
Yeah, but so I think I'll touch up more on it when we talk about the shrines there. I think it'll be more meaningful when we talk about it there.
All right.
Because, well, I don't think it's a surprise, but I found the shrines is something that I struggle a lot with in terms of my enjoyment out of them.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that one later on.
Okay, because what I wanted to say was in the Great Plateau you start with a clean slate, a clean Sheikah slate, and by doing the shrines you get a specific power up, and every shrine that you do is oriented for you to learn how to use that specific rune.
But isn't there one at the end?
No, not in the Great Plateau. In the Great Plateau, you
Never
can
mind
do...
then. I'm mistaking about another one. But
yeah, you can do everything with a single...
Well, there you go. That's my maybe my my criticism. Like I said, I'm stretching there out of it there.
Yeah.
For the Great Plateau, but I find that if they maybe would have had a shrine at the end that encapsulate all four powers, right? And like makes you use them and interact with all four of them, I think I would have enjoyed that. But that, like I said, that's little mini criticism that it's not really based on anything. There's just me searching for something right now.
I can understand. I mean, to be honest, one of the craziest thing I remember doing in the Great Plateau day one was encountering the stone talus. It was something that was never in the previous Zelda games. Maybe actually I'm wrong when I say it like that, because I remember in Wind Waker while I was traversing the sea, and then a great whirlpool happened and I had to fight a giant octopus. But it's different now. It's very different. It's like, how can I say? It's hidden, right? I was just collecting mushrooms and it was in the forest, and then a big health bar appears, the music picks up, and it was such a great feeling to use this new feature of Link to climb, right, any surface and to get on top of that Colossus and strike it in its weak spot. It was amazing. That and Jacky, I think we were playing at the same time, but we weren't doing the same things. I think he went to a shrine by cutting down a tree to traverse a was a spot in between two mountains, and he used the axe. It was like a place where you learn how to cook, and you can see the old man too. Speaking of,
I did it the same way.
See,
I cut the tree down, and
I didn't do that myself. I took another way up there, but yeah, it was amazing to see that. Oh, you did this that way, I did that this way. It was something unlike anything I've done before in video game history, where we had so many ways to tackle the same problem.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that we saw in that game, is that what's interesting is that you can choose to approach different problems from a different angle, and it's often seen that people are not going to approach it with the same angle. So the more and more you go throughout the game, the more you see situations and problems that you want to resolve a certain way, and when somebody else encounters them, they're not going to do the same thing as you. So that's very interesting. That's why, like I said, I like to play Breath of the Wild, but I also enjoy watching people play it, because you can always see different way to approach, different way to view the environment, and it speaks to the very rich possibilities that you have in this game.
100%. 100%. It was a fad, people might say, but on YouTube, on social media, you could see a incredible metric ton of hashtag Breath of the Wild and people doing some insane stuff like, oh my god, how did he think of that? Or I tried it, but not in that place, and look at the result he has. Or it was crazy, man. And some crazy simple things like feeding the dog at the inn. Like, nobody fed the dog. Like, I don't know how to say it. Someone was like, you know what? In this game, I can choose food from my inventory and drop it. Let me drop it in front of the dog. What will happen? Then the dog eats it, gets happy, and goes and like finds a buried treasure for you and gives it. It's crazy, man. I was like, whoa, what is this game? It's trying to be so many things and somehow managing to be everything it's trying to be. Like I remember when we were talking, Kyle, about climbing. You were like, I can do that in Assassin's Creed. And then we were like, yeah, but what about this other stuff? And you were like, yeah, that was in Skyrim. I played a game where that component of the game was there. And then we were like, yeah, but don't you see that putting all of those into one makes for something very like new and revolutionary? And you were not on board. I remember you were like, nah, man, I don't see it.
I mean, I think it can be like, yeah, they took many parts. I think that's what art is, right? Is stealing, but in a nice way, right?
with taste.
Yeah, with taste and creatively, and I don't think it's a bad thing, right? That what they did is just I think it's just I think what I really struggle with this game is that there was a lot of hype with it and high expectations. And I'm not saying that they haven't been met on certain aspects of it, but it was just that like a lot of people were praising it. Oh my god, they did this and this, and you're like, well, yeah, but it's nothing new, right? It's just they combined it, and yeah, sure, you can say they did a good job of it, but it's still just taking from our ideas that have already been there and just putting them in the same game. It's in my head, it's not groundbreaking when people are inventing stuff unique, and that's groundbreaking. The other way, I don't find it's groundbreaking.
Okay.
But like, for example, the climbing.
It's not a bad thing.
No, we understand. No, we understand.
I think that I actually love the climbing. I'm not. But it's just like people were going like, oh my god, you can climb on anything. It's like, yeah, but that's been done before, right? They did it very well. I'm not taking away from the. I think, like I said, I think the problem is the reaction of everybody. It's just like. It's like they just invented water, which they didn't, but they did it just super well, right? It's like it's some damn tasty water, but it's still water. You know what I mean? It's just that's the way I see it.
Climbing on every surface. I don't recall a game that did that. Like Assassin's Creed, I know they did it, but they did it afterwards. It was like in Odyssey they started doing that.
There was, to me, a post Breath of the Wild video game industry.
You could climb pretty much anything in Assassin's Creed.
No, but
Even
I think that's the difference. Is that in Breath of the Wild, it's not climbing for climbing. You know, if you climb stuff in Assassin's Creed like the previous one, it's just like you go up, you know, a wall, because usually it's a wall, and then you go on the rooftops, or you get to a high point in a building, and it's always so that you can go faster, or that you can approach your enemy from a higher spot.
And it
So it
was always
always,
right pre-programmed grips and
but
pre-programmed
again,
animations, right?
that's one thing you won't hear me criticize. I find the climbing in Breath of the Wild it is amazing, and they did it so well, and I loved every part of it. Right? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that
We think it one-upped the competition.
sure, I agree with that. Like I said, I think they did a good job. They took something and they made it better, and that's what you need to do. But people are they will. It's the reaction of people that baffled me. It's that they were inventing water. You know what I mean? It's like it was like holy shit, you can climb, and it's like they did it better, but it's just still fucking climbing. You know what I mean? It's like
I see.
that's my point. It was just like it is. People were the expectations were so god like that was my problem. People, I think that I maybe if I would have played it on release, I think maybe I would have had a better experience. But it's just after 3 years of people telling me this is the greatest game that has ever been created, it's amazing, blah blah blah, and you go into it and you're just like, and yeah, I agree that it maybe my vision, my thought process a bit skewed because, for example, if Breath of the Wild came out, other games started copying it, and they implemented the things that Breath of the Wild invented or did better, and then I'll be like, well, you know, I've already played a game that I get that, right? But it's just that people promised me this masterpiece, and I got, again, I want to say this again, it's far from a bad game. It's actually a fucking great game, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's no masterpiece.
You're like, it's not the greatest thing since bread.
Exactly. That's my only thing, you know. And I think maybe, like I said, that it sucks that I have that reaction because, but I think it's just the hype that everybody promised me. I find it didn't deliver, or it didn't deliver as much as I hoped it would.
Because, you know, you are not, like you said, a die-hard Zelda fan, where Jacky and I were like, yo, this is like the World Cup. This is an event, man. Every 4 years, I don't know, Zelda, it might have been you might have skipped 7 years or something like that. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be huge. So we had already those expectations before even knowing what they were going to do. And then we saw the promise, and then we were even more hyped. And the closer we got to release, the more we were telling each other, yo, we are setting ourselves up for some of the worst, some of the most massive disappointment ever. And I was like, man, I think we're done for. And he was like, yo, we really did overhype ourselves. Until the game dropped, and then we were like, oh my god, it's even better than we thought. It was amazing.
yeah, we overhyped it, and we still were amazed by
But
what we saw.
I'm happy for you guys, honestly, that you were content by it, right?
Oh, more than
And
content, man. It
yeah,
was
and you know, I think it's just
it was a
when
revolution
people,
for us, because I don't know how to explain it to you, but it's the kind of game that you can't play only once. It's impossible. Like I don't know how many hours it took you to beat the game.
me,
Yeah.
uh, I couldn't tell you. I probably more than 50 for sure.
Okay, so it took me about 70 for myself. What about you, Jacky?
I couldn't say. Because honestly, I lost too much time just wandering around.
Yeah,
So
but that's what I wanted to say. From that 70 hours, there were some
but it's-
moments where I legit stood still and rotated the camera, and I was like, oh my god, this sunrise is so beautiful. Or, oh, the squirrels and the nature and the sound of the wind. I was so amazed that when I went on hikes in real life, my experience was heightened because I played Breath of the Wild. I could
I
appreciate
don't know if I can go
nature
to
more.
that I don't think I can go to that extent, but that's one thing that I will agree with you guys every day of the week. The exploration and the world of Breath of the Wild is one of the best I've ever seen, hands down. There's nothing to be said about that. I
Yeah,
find, especially the exploration, it's the way they approach it, the way the gameplay is, everything makes it just, even if I find sometimes the map is a bit empty in some parts, just fields,
yeah.
it don't feel empty, right? It don't feel empty. It feels like everything is fresh, new, and and I enjoyed every single second of me trying to figure out what is happening and where am I at, what am I discovering right now. And every time I would launch the game, it was just a treat to being so like, oh, like this
In
is
awe of the world.
yeah, because it was beautiful. There's some parts of it that were just gorgeous. I remember I'll say an anecdote where I was just running around and then I pan my camera and just a fucking flying huge dragon in the sky and you're like, holy fuck. And then I decided, yo, I want to go see that. And you just go and you fucking run and then he's right on top of you and you're like, holy shit, this is incredible, right? Or
And
stuff
then
like
you
that.
have
Or
wind that lets you glide with it.
yeah, and that like I said, incredible experience. You can't beat that. You can't beat that aspect of it where it's just those first enjoyments. That's why I don't think like that was my favorite part of Breath of the Wild, and unfortunately, because that is, in my opinion, kind of like you'll never have that same experience again. It's like watching a movie for the first time, right? You're
Yes,
never gonna have that experience a second time, right?
yes.
So for me, I haven't played it a second time just because in my mind I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. I have to play it a second time, right? But in my eyes, it's just like, well, it's not gonna be as special because I'm not gonna be discovering these spots. Maybe I can discover more stuff that I didn't get the first playthrough. That's a possibility, and I'm sure I've missed hundreds of stuff, right? Because it's so expansive, it's extensive as a map and everything.
Yep.
But yeah,
I
but
think you
like I
you
said,
you did a great explanation of how you felt, how you experienced the game. I understood you well. What about you, Jackie?
I understand. Yeah. Well, I share a lot of his opinion on that. I mean, I'm a big fan of the open world, and of course, like you, that experience with the dragon. I think we shared something very similar. Momo, I don't know if you recall it.
Yes, it was
Uh,
the Thunder Dragon near
yeah, with the
the
thunder
plateau
dragon. Yeah,
and the
near
bridge, right?
yeah, yeah, the bridge of Elden. Yeah, I think.
Maybe not
Eh,
Elden,
is
because
it
that's
called?
Twilight Princess, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're right, right. Yeah. Well, above the lake Ilia.
So might be Bridge Hylia.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Anyway, so I think there's a lot of praise to be given to that game, but I agree also there's a lot of criticism. Like to me, I know like you're pissed off because people were saying it's a perfect game, it's a masterpiece and everything. And although I agree that it's a masterpiece, I don't think it's a perfect game. I think that Momo shares the same thoughts that I have. We know that it's not a perfect game, and it's especially not a perfect Zelda. You know,
Yeah,
we
like we associate the Zelda name with something that was not explored a lot in this iteration of Zelda. It was
I think that also maybe was a factor in me having a harder time with it.
yeah,
Because for me, I think this I'm telling you, I think I'd appreciate this game more if it wasn't called Zelda.
but I don't know why though. Like it was just the
Because
expectation, right?
yeah, but because when you have something, right, that works well, right? I'm not saying you have to redo it. I'm not saying that. I think I like that they decided to go and be. I think it takes some guts, right, to take a game that you have a formula for and it works and it's 100% and it's just like everybody loves it. Why change it, right? I like that they decided no, let's not do it. But I still think there's a bit like there was a bit of that Zelda magic that was missing. And for me, it was the dungeons. I find that I think it's the thing that I was disappointed the most of of anything in this game, and it's that. It's I found the shrines were low-key trash,
Ooh,
and there's maybe like there's 120 of them. There was maybe 20 that were good. The rest were god awful, waste of my time. And I'm not trying to exaggerate. I didn't like them. I found them just an insult to Zelda. And because my fondest memory of Phantom Hourglass is me in dungeons trying to figure out where do I have to go. There's people here that unkillable mobs that I have to try to duke out and whatnot. Finding that boomerang, finding the fire arrows, all of that is just like fuck. You know what I mean? Like I miss that, and I find that was my biggest disappointment about the whole game is not having that experience. I agree that the divine beasts they maybe helped a bit, but they were far from what I remembered as a kid playing that little game on DS, right?
the problem
And I
with
think
the Divine Beast is that for all the very clever ideas they had, they were too short.
exactly my point.
It was
And
like a quarter or a half dungeon. And
yeah,
that's being
exactly.
generous by saying a half dungeon. Some of them, you could cheese them very easily and reach the boss and all. But it was a pleasure in itself to use the physics and all.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually really like the divine beasts. You know, like some are better than others, but I like them.
I
Just
like the
that
bosses too. I don't
I
know for
just
you.
yeah. There was one that I really liked over all of them. There, like one, let's say is great, and the other ones were good. You know what I mean?
Which one
So
did you find great?
the lightning one.
Oh boy, I
That
don't
was
know how many game overs I had with him.
but because there was an actual challenge of it, you know what I
Yup,
mean? Like I
yup.
found it was actually challenging. The other ones, like I think maybe the first one I had died just because I didn't get the mechanics right away. But then as soon as I got them, I was like, okay, this is easy enough. But the lightning one was by far my favorite one because it was the most challenging one.
I think
I agree with that. I'm
I
100% with that.
I think my favorite one has to be the first one I did, which was the Rito one,
Is that which one is
the
that?
bird
'Cause
one.
oh, you did the bird one first. Okay.
Yeah. Because I know Jacky and I were playing side by side, and I was like, I don't know where you're going, but I'm heading up northwest. I want to do the flying thing. And then he was like, well, I'm going to go east. I'm going to follow like I don't know what was your like your mindset.
I
Why?
did the same thing as Jackie, where I went for the elephant first.
Yeah. Because
then
it seems like it's the one the developers wanted us to go first.
It
Would
is
you
the one
guys
that-
think the
I
same?
agree. I agree.
They put you in the direction of Kakariko Village, which is on, if you go further ahead, you're going to go to the Zora's domain. So I think, yeah, it was intended that it was going to be the first one.
So yeah, we did our first Divine Beast. Like we said, the puzzle was absolutely no challenge, and the boss is the combat. Yeah, let's talk about the combat. What did you guys think about the combat?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to put a disclaimer here. I think both of you know that since I was on PC, I was able to control some stuff, and I decided to. I'm gonna take a deep breath for this. I took a bit of I took out the mechanic of destructible weapons.
Oh boy, you removed weapon durability from the game.
Yes, and I will not hear anything about it not being the correct way to play. My way is the way I want to play it, and I wouldn't have never been able to finish the game if I had to play with that durability.
You know you could have, right?
I could have.
Pretty sure you could have done it.
I could have. I don't think I'm that bad at video games, right? It's just I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I don't like it in any game. Witcher 3, one of my favorite games. I hate the durability system in that fucking game. It's just it stops me in my tracks. I just want to have fun. I want to be like, and this goddamn, I hate it in every game, and I won't change my opinion on it. It's just I can't find any fun in it where I'm there. I'm like, I'm talking about, let's say, Witcher 3 here. Oh fuck, I have to go repair my fucking sword. I hate it. I don't like it. It's just my game that I played the most hours in my life, Guild Wars 2 has it. I hate it. Every single game that has it, I've never liked it. It's just a waste of my time. Here, at least, let's say it breaks so often and it breaks the whole weapon. You're not just losing damage, right?
Yeah.
Where it's maybe a bit different, but that made me hate it even fucking more. So, like, I turned it off, and I couldn't have been more glad to have it off.
To me, it heightened the game experience. It gave me stress when it was a guaranteed win. It gave me a reason to be more creative, more flexible. And yeah, man, the combat, as simple as it is, once you try to delve deeper into it, you can see that a lot of thought has been put into, or maybe not actually, it might be just bugs, but I really love the combat. The advanced stuff like jump canceling, like doing the slow motion whenever you want, like the bomb parries, like the bomb jumps. All of those are super fun and a pleasure to execute. So yeah, man, I don't know. I'm like, the guy, he could have done the rest, but it's a big part of it, right? To be limited in your uses of the weapons. But the thing is, the more you play, the higher gear you get, the more durable they are. So you can keep them for longer, and if you use them to beat threats that are equal to or higher, well, you always get the same thing or better. But if you're like, yo, let me use this omega powerful weapon on the shitty little enemies, you're gonna be sad. You're gonna be sad that you destroyed this 85 power two-hand sword on a bokoblin.
Indeed. But I agree that it was fun. I liked it. I liked the combat. The only I found Furry Rush was a bit cheap.
OP, yep.
Yeah, and it wasn't always accurate sometimes. Like sometimes I would get it, sometimes I wouldn't get it, and sometimes I could be like, I don't know, maybe 3 feet away from the attack.
The danger zone.
Yeah, and next thing you know, I'm fucking furry rushing him, right? But if not, I liked it. I liked the combat. It was fun. Like, you know, I liked that you could approach I like the little camps, you know, that were spread out here and
like
there
excuses to just flex, man. Do I want to take everyone with arrows? Do I want to sneak in and sneak strike everybody? What do I want to do?
No, I enjoyed that, but I found that because I did play, I think I played maybe half of the game with the durability, and then when I got to
okay, you played a good bit. I thought you were like 2 hours in. Nah, B, that's not for me.
I played it until I was Alt F4ing, right, and then I saw that you could deactivate it, and then I went like, oh, okay, I'll give it a try, but.
My man really Alt F4 Zelda.
I just find it doesn't like I get it, you know, like, oh, you defeat a person, you can pick up his weapon and use that one now and blah blah blah. But it's just like oh, I got a new fucking sword that I find super cool looking, that is strong and everything, and then next thing you know, it's like, well, if I want to beat these little goblins, well, I just destroyed half of my fucking, durability on it.
Yeah.
So, all of that I did. Like, one thing I'll say that I really enjoyed was I fought this, you know, those one eye guy people there.
Hinoxes.
And he had like weapons on his on him, like on his necklace. That was actually sick because he was sleeping, so I could go to him, sneak, and pick up the weapons. That I found actually cool.
Did you went up on his hand and then he puts you on his belly?
No, I because I was higher than him, so I could just glide and I landed on his stomach.
Yeah, man, that's also cool. But if you crouch and slowly, without making any noise, get into his hand, in his animation where he sleeps and scratches his belly, he will pick you up and put you right on his belly so that you can pick up his weapons.
That's actually dope. You see, that's something that I really enjoy of it. That I never got to see that, but not because, you know, I didn't want to. It's just that the game is so, you know, big and everything, and there's little details like that sometimes some person will see, some person won't, and I like that.
Jacky, man, I think this game, it was a very important for you. It changed your vision of the whole video game industry, and I feel like there is a lot you want to say, but that you left unsaid.
Oh man, where can I start? You said previously that you're able to see a post Breath of the Wild genre in the video game. You're able to see it when you look at some video games that have recently coming out. When you see some trailers, you're like, this looks like a Breath of the Wild. You see a lot of ideas that are reused because people know it.
Some people just copied the whole game. No shame.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But yeah, I feel like it ruined me for a lot of my favorite open worlds. Like Kyle mentioned, which is the game that I loved.
Which one? Sorry, you cut. I didn't hear.
Yeah, The Witcher 3.
Ah, yeah.
When it was released in 2015, I remember spending some nights in the summer playing it because so I was having so much fun. I was thinking, yo, this is a great game, and it was great. It was an amazing experience, and I put a lot of hours. I don't know how many, but I put a lot of hours. And when I revisited the game after playing Breath of the Wild, I just couldn't play it. I couldn't go. Um, we had this running gag with Momo. It was like, I can't get past the part with the griffin.
Yeah,
I can't
that was
get past
me.
that part without me getting bored. And I was like, man, you just gotta give it another chance. And when I revisited the game, I couldn't get to that part. I was unable to get to that part. I was like, this is terrible. I can't believe I was enjoying that game so much. And it happened with a lot of video games. 1 year later, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, and it was an awful experience for me. I really didn't like the open world of that game. And it's not like these games don't have anything for themselves. Of course, they have a lot of qualities and all, but I think that the part about exploration and the environment and the fact that it should all work out together, I think that it's something missing a lot of in video games, because now the shift that we're seeing is going toward story. We have to get a very narrative game that is played in corridors, and it doesn't really make sense if we continue to put out open worlds, because on one hand we're telling developers to do open world game because that's what's selling. When you look at Grand Theft Auto, when you look at Zelda Breath of the Wild, etc., etc. And on the other hand, we're telling them, well, you should also have a narrative game. And I'm not saying that these two don't go together. Of course, it can work, but it's not for everyone. I don't think that everyone can make it work because it's very difficult. And this is what I've experienced after Breath of the Wild, is that it really changed my perspective on video game, and it made me really appreciate the quality of what is a real open world and what it means to be. Maybe it's too much to say. What it means to be free, what it means to make your own decisions when you're inside the video games, and having the true liberty to choose your path throughout the game.
Just the map, man. Just the way they did the map. Like when you press select
Yeah,
and pull up the
yeah,
map, they were like, you
yeah.
know what? Fuck this bullshit with thousands of micro little icons and bullshit.
Icons and roads, and go there and go, and the towers is one of the you know like Kyle said. Oh well, you've got towers like that. Like in Far Cry, you have like this mini like climbing puzzle
The
to go up the
Ubisoft
tower.
towers, right?
Yeah, Ubisoft towers. And oh well, they just did the towers, but it's not just towers. It's that when you get to the tower, you can see the region, but you can see the information in the I don't know how you say it in English, but it's when you see the high spots and the lower spots of the
Yes.
ground. So, and you don't have all these icons telling you, well, there's an interesting thing right there. There's something interesting right there. No, no. You have to go up the tower, look at the environment with your own eyes, and then you have to decide wherever you want to go. And you always want to go somewhere, because this is one of the other part that's genius about Breath of the Wild, is that the environment is designed so that when you look somewhere, you see something, and it's something of
Anywhere, anywhere in the
yes,
world,
yes, yes.
turn the
You see
camera,
something.
you want to go somewhere. It's impossible not to feel like, oh, I want to go there.
You're like, oh, what is this like coming out of the background? Oh, why is this moving? Oh, what is this shadow? What is this light? There's always something that is catching your eye, and it keeps things alive, and you feel like you're part of the world and that you're exploring it for real. And that's what's the difference from all the rest, is that yes, it's open world, yes, it has been done, but the difference is that it's alive. I think once we spoke with you, Kyle, we were like, oh, when you see something, you can go to it, and you were like, yeah, well, that you can see it in other video games, but the difference is that it's something of interest. It's not like, oh, I see the mountain, I can go to the mountain. No, it's that you see something on the mountain. You see something of interest. You see something that is different, that is flashing out from the environment, from the background, that catches your eye, and that's what's interesting.
One of
It's
the
not.
best
It's
examples of that, sorry, Jackie,
yeah.
that didn't give me any permanent bonus boost or anything like that, was the mountain with the spirit of the forest. So in short, you have this mountain that at night, under specific weather conditions, or maybe it's just at night, it starts to glow, and it starts to have those like aurora borealis types of effect. Unique. Anywhere else in the world you don't have those, and it's like concentrated to a point in the top of the mountain, and I'm like, yo, I need to climb, I need to see what's up there. And then I climb up there and I see a spectacle that I was absolutely not expecting, and I was completely in awe, and I felt like it was 200% worth the effort, even though I didn't get any special weapon or anything. It's just that good.
Yeah, and it's you know, I feel like what you get from exploring the worlds of different video games is you get experience, you get stronger weapons, you get, and of course in Breath of the Wild you get some of that. Like, I mean, you get
Oh yeah, my bad. But near that spot, I had a shrine, so it wasn't like completely nothing, right?
yeah, of course, yeah,
Was
of course.
was it a trash shine?
Probably, to be honest.
Okay, I will agree with you that there are some shrines where you're like, the blessings, they piss me off, really. They really piss me off.
I found the combat ones were also a waste of my time.
The combat
But the
one,
combat's
man. You could try stuff.
Yeah, I think the combat ones are interesting because they're useful because afterwards you get strong weapons, and it's if you play your cards well. Oh well, why would you care? You don't. Your weapons don't even break. Why would you care about the combat?
Yeah, but even before,
Yeah, my bad.
I was just like, ugh, like I don't know. Like I said,
No, but I agree with you.
I
Like,
think it
if
was
you're
just my expectations of puzzles and stuff
Yeah,
like
me
that,
too,
and it
me
wasn't
too.
there.
yeah, no, of course, yeah, me too. I would have preferred to have
But
only puzzles.
I think the worst were when you go in and there's fucking nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, the puzzle was
Bro.
outside.
Whew. That was sometimes difficult to swallow.
Yeah,
I don't
me
know how
too,
to
yeah.
say it right, but there was one that was actually making me think a lot. I was like, how the heck do I get to this shrine? Where is it? And it was very difficult, and I had to use my paraglider and bomb arrows to jump into like emptiness, open up the paraglider, shoot that stuff, and then pick up an updraft to go back into it. It was crazy, right?
It's on the east side. It's close to the sea.
Exactly. And I was like, yo, this was so hype. I hope that what's inside is going to be special. I get inside, you walk, you climb 2 sets of stairs, and you get your shrine's blessing. That's it. I was
Hard to swallow.
very, very disappointed. But they thought that it would be enough. They thought that the player would feel satisfied with what he did outside. But I don't think. I think
I
they.
don't think it.
No, it didn't work. It didn't work with me, at least.
Well, I don't think that's what they had in mind. I just think they didn't have enough time to make the one.
That's most probably it. Yeah. Another thing
As
that
sad as it is.
really, really rubs me the wrong way is the inventory system. Can we talk about it, boys?
I think it breaks the combat.
The inventory system is horrendous because Link has a limited amount of space for his shields, for his swords, for his bows, and whenever you reach the maximum, you pick it up, especially if it's a new item, right? You pick it up, it's like, oh, this is the new sword, the new Thunder Blade. It's 38 strength, and it can zap your enemies or something like that. Oops, your inventory is full, and then you drop it down. It like completely kills the pace of the game, just so that you have to press pause again, go to your inventory, sacrifice a weapon, take this new weapon, and then move on. And the worst, that's like, I could see it on the ground, right? The worst is when you open up a chest. Oh my god. Oh my god, I was like, yo, they didn't think this through. It's impossible. Why can't I open up the chest, right? You play me the music and you show me the sword, the item, or whatever. You tell me I don't have any space left, and then you tell me press start to go into your inventory and choose which one you want to swap. Not next, go back to the game, press pause, go to my swords, drop one, close the menu, reopen the chest, get that animation again, and then pick it up. It was too much, man. That's why Breath of the Wild is not perfect to me. It has too many things like that that rubs me in the wrong way to be perfect. But it's close to perfect.
How about this? It's a bit regarding the inventory system, but I found the game a bit too easy.
Yes.
And the reason why was because, like, yeah, I had my hearts on the top left, right?
Yep.
But that wasn't my HP. My HP was every goddamn fucking apple and mushroom and steak and everything that I had in my inventory.
My man was getting smacked by Ganon, rolling 300
stop.
meters. Whoops, stops. How many apples do I need? 45?
I think I would have enjoyed it better if it was more like I don't know, Dark Souls, you know, where sure you have your HP, right? But you also have your flasks, your vials. And what is it called in Dark Souls?
Dark Souls is Estus Flask.
Yeah, that's it, flask.
And
Bloodborne is
Blood Vial, I think.
Blood vials, exactly. And but you see, it required a bit of skill to take those.
You had to choose the right time because you commit to an animation.
So, like, I think there was maybe one boss that like I said that I had a difficulty with, right? And it wasn't even the normal game; it was a fucking DLC, right? And but
so you got to play the DLC too. Okay.
Yeah, I played I got the motorcycle and everything, and that boss, you know, with when you're up in the sky and he's like a ninja boy, you know, there.
Yeah, not Koga. Master Koga is the fat ninja master.
But the other guy. But you see that guy, that I almost had to use all my goddamn fucking food, you know, to beat him, right? So, but you see every other ones, if they wouldn't one hit you, well, I was full HP again, and you can't get one shot, right? You always have at least half a quarter heart.
Yeah.
So, if you're full HP, I mean. So, it's just like, as soon as I wasn't full HP, I would stop, be full HP. So, you're literally unfucking killable.
That's the gamer in all of us. Because you don't speedrun the game or anything, but you noticed. If I'm at full HP and I have like, I don't know, 5 hearts, and the attack does, I don't know, let's say later in the game you notice the attack does 10 damage, and you have just 5 HP. That 10 damage attack will just reduce you to half health, so you never die from full health, no matter how many hearts you have and the damage you get.
Yeah.
you play hard mode.
Yeah, I didn't play it, so that would have answered all my prayers, I guess. my I usually don't like playing games in hard because I find that devs usually
It's
they
cheap
they
hard. It's not like skill hard.
yeah, exactly. But if I would have known, right, that hard mode is not this food stuff, then or you can't get you literally can't die, then maybe I would have. But that's a little. I didn't get too bothered from that.
Good to know. Good to know.
Also, I found armor. Armor. If you upgrade your armor,
Yeah,
you're even more unkillable.
you become a tank, man.
Yeah, sometimes some enemies were hitting me. I was like, "What the fuck? You just hit me half HP," like. But
I mean, it's fair
not,
to say, but at the end, you're a human tank with all the powers.
yeah. But if
The
not,
armor.
like I repeat it, I had fun with the combat. I really did. I found it fun and whatnot.
Yeah. I loved it, man. I really did. I loved exploring, like the loop. The Zelda Breath of the Wild loop is amazing. Where you walk around, see something of interest, go ahead. So that's all exploration. What awaits you there is either a puzzle or fighting. And once you do one of those, you get rewarded with either a permanent upgrade or a substantial upgrade. And then rinse and repeat. More explore, more becoming stronger. Oh, about that, how did you feel against the final boss on your first playthrough? First and only playthrough?
I think. Go ahead, Jackie. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I felt way too strong. It was way too easy. Plus, you get when you beat the 4 bosses from the 4 divine beasts, they're all gone, and they give you the opportunity to rip half the life of the final boss,
Mm-hmm.
and afterwards it's a fucking shooting range with the it's a fucking animal trying to shoot laser at you but missing you from like 2 kilometers. He's too fucking slow. You just have to shoot the arrows and it's done. It's way too easy. Like the final boss for me was like the biggest disappointment of the whole game.
My man came out all decked out, savage linnel bows times 5, and bomb arrows, headshots all the time. You completely like trivialized it. It wasn't your fault, right? That's the problem. Whose fault is it, Kyle? Whose fault is it, Jackie?
But in my head, it's the developers' fault, right? Because they know that most people are gonna finish the 4 divine beasts before going to kill Ganon, right? So I get it that you have to incentivize the people to actually do the fucking divine beast and not just go to the castle, which they still allow you to do, which I really like.
Did you try it, the challenge?
I did not.
Oh,
I didn't try it.
Like
and
press
I'm
new
sure
game, press new game soon whenever you have time, and just head straight to it. And boy, you're in for a surprise.
Yeah, I'm sure it is quite difficult, right? But they have to judge that, right? And it is the developer's fault, right? Ultimately, but I get it that it's very hard to balance, right? How can you balance that you have to make this boss doable with 3 hearts and no fucking no, I know you can pick up weapons, but no big huge armor upgraded and everything and all of
not
that.
much inventory space, because remember, it breaks.
Exactly. And so all of that makes you a bit like, well, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna make him super easy or super hard? If I make it super hard, it's not fair for the people that don't fully upgrade everything. But if I make it too easy, then it sucks for everybody, right? So it's just like that little, it makes it unfortunate, like.
Well, I think that they shouldn't have changed the experience for the ones that didn't do the Divine Beast, but for the ones that did it, that did them, sorry, um, I think they should have maybe both of them. They should have done removing the bosses and removing half the life. I was thinking maybe just leave one of them, but actually you could leave both of them because at the end, when you're all powered up and everything, there's nothing that's going to stop you. And
Nothing. Yep.
especially not these easy bosses and that final Ganon.
But then
So
again, what good did it do to free your friends and the divine beast? You don't
well,
have a quadruple
Exactly.
Omega Super Kamehameha from the four corners of the map straight into Ganon.
yeah. So yeah, I guess you can leave like one of those two, like the bosses or half the life going, boom, disappearing.
I mean, it's not obligated to shoot a laser beam that melts half the life, right? It might, I don't know, do some kind of magic, spiritual bullshit straight
I
into
think,
Link, and then Link
yeah.
becomes Omega Link or something like that.
Well, it would like be the same. It would just instead
Essentially,
of having him being weaker, you would just be stronger. I think maybe they should have done something that that the fight becomes easier with the powers of the champions somehow. Like they could have integrated that because it does
Yeah.
in some part. Well, yeah, actually, it
Yeah.
already does in some part, like except from Rivali's Gale.
yeah, man.
So yeah, I think it's enough. I think you get the powers of the champions. It's enough. You don't need to have the boss lose
Like
half
if
his
if you
life.
wanted to use the divine beasts, right? They could have, instead of melt Ganon's health in that fight, they could have at least went, oh, well, it kills when you're outside on that fucking horse, like
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
like it would have saved me some fucking time, and it would have made it more enjoyable.
And it
We
would made
solved it.
more sense also because how does the laser just like goes from fucking like 100 miles going into the castle and then down doesn't make any sense. Whereas if it was just shooting straight into the Hyrule field toward the Beast Ganon, it would make a lot more sense.
I
But
have
like,
a question
I think
for you,
that's
Jackie.
mm,
A lot of times we've always discussed this when we were talking about movies and everything.
mm,
For you, the ending is very important. If there's not a strong ending, especially in movies, it ruins it for you.
yes.
Now, from what I understood, your Ganon ending wasn't the most enjoyable. Or it was maybe the thing that you liked the least, right?
Hmm.
How did that affect your view on the game as a whole? Did it disappoint you to a fact where you like yeah, elaborate on that.
That's a very good
Yeah.
question because we
Yeah,
all
yeah.
know he
Actually,
loves endings.
yes. I'm a big fan of endings. It did in some part because, of course, you're always looking for that big moment, and in Zelda more than any other game that I know, the ending is always my favorite part. I don't recall a Zelda where like the ending is not my favorite part. And it's such a big finale in all Zeldas, so that to me to have like this final combat being reduced to a shooting range, that was disappointing. Second, it was too easy, so it was like again more disappointing, and it just finishes with that arrow shot, which was fine because it was it's going back to the first trailer, right, when he's shooting
Yeah.
Guardian and everything in slow motion. So yeah, it was so disappointing, and I just came out of the game uh, feeling empty. But since it's a video game, I don't see it the same way as a movie. Because when I say that the ending matters most, and that if the ending doesn't resonate with me, I'm not going to like the whole picture. I think that's more in terms of story, because story is built towards the ending, and story is built after the ending. To me, like this is the way I view it. So it's way more important to me that when I'm playing a video game based around a story, that the ending is very powerful, so that I will enjoy the whole experience. And that's why this is why I have this opinion about books and movies and uh, theater and whatever. But in video game, the difference is that the journey is actually more important than the ending, because you cannot, you know, it's not the same structure. Gameplay is not the same structure as story. It's not made the same way. Of course, you want to get the best part at the end, but I've just come to realize that it's not true in most video games. You don't get um the best gameplay experience from the ending. Usually, you get it throughout the game, throughout the journey. So that's why,
Wow.
even though I didn't like it, and it was very disappointing, I don't think that it's bad enough so that I can just look at the game and go, "Yeah, yeah, it was terrible."
And that's coming from you. The
Yeah, because it's
legendary ending matters.
but it's not the same thing. It's not a video game ending like here. I'm strictly speaking about the gameplay, right? I'm not speaking about the story of Breath of the Wild. I'm not speaking about that. When I'm saying it's terrible and everything, I'm speaking really about the gameplay, like what you're doing at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is what I didn't like, and to me, in video games, it's not the same thing as you get in narrative features, because when you're playing, you got your enjoyment from the playing before. You see what I mean?
Yes, yes.
It's not like the gameplay is meant to get meaning at the end. You see what I mean? It's not as connected. Of course, you want to.
But it's still. I get it absolutely what you're saying. I do agree with you, but it's still like video games still have a story to it, right?
Mhm.
Where like sure some games lean more heavily on it than others, but it's still present and it was present here, right? So I do agree that it didn't ruin it, and I'm not it's not it's not gonna make me not recommend the game to somebody, right? But I do agree that it disappointed me a bit, and it did, I think,
Very.
leave a more like I was if it was a better ending, I think I would have enjoyed the game a lot more, and I could have maybe let other stuff slide. But since it wasn't, it kind of went like, ah, okay, well, I guess, right? Like
When
I had
when
the
you're saying
DLC to play right after, so I was fine with it. But still, it cheapened the whole I find experience of it. Especially you're about to fight Ganon, right?
The
And it's just like,
big bad.
yeah, big bad. But when you're saying you were disappointed, you were disappointed by the ending, story wise or gameplay wise?
both.
Both. Okay, that's why. Okay.
Why
Well, me, I
were you
was like,
disappointed by it story wise?
Well, I didn't I it was serviceable story, right? But I didn't find it anywhere groundbreaking, right? And it just I think if it could have and the ending story wise, I found it a bit corny. You know what I mean? With like all is good, and you see the ghost of the four people that died, and it's just like, oh, everything is
They
happily
still
ever
dead though.
after. Yeah, they're still dead, but I don't know. It's just like it. Look, I'm. I didn't hate it. I just found it meh. You know what I mean? Like, and it just and the ending, since it didn't do anything else than being meh, it just went like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I could have forgave the rest of the story if this would have been, a bit more exciting.
I see. Okay, all right.
It didn't ruin the game. Just it didn't help it.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. So you would have get some enjoyment of a good ending or a surprising ending.
Yeah, I would have liked something else. I know it's a Zelda game, right? So they're not gonna say like, ooh, like Zelda. She respawned and she's this old 100-year-old Zelda and she's dying. Like like I'm not saying that's the correct way, right? I'm just spitballing here, but it's just like I don't know, maybe something a bit different, a bit more Ose.
I see you. I see you.
I don't know. It's like I've watched the stories of what you may call it, Majora's Mask, on
Oof.
online, and I find that story super compelling, and it's different, and it's just like, ooh, like.
You had to choose the Zelda that was unlike any other.
But you know what I mean? Like if they can do it there, well, I don't know your opinions on Majora's Mask, and I haven't played it, so I can't even pronounce myself on it. But I watched videos explaining the story, and I found it fucking awesome, right? So I was just like, and like
It
theories
is.
that people were inventing and shit like that. I find it was fascinating, and I just think it was a serviceable story, but nothing much to it, and I think. Exactly. I know Zelda can give you good story and something different. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. I respect that. I understand your point of view, and I get what you're saying because I agree with you that there are some Zeldas with good stories. It's not like amazing stories, as you said, but
Yeah,
it's
I
good
think
stories.
they're more well known on their gameplay, and that
Yeah.
and I don't fault them. Like example, right? I'm sure we'll talk about it one day, but the Last of Us, right? Yeah, it's like
I knew before he said the name of the game.
it's a very story. Story is on the front of it all. Gameplay takes a secondary aspects of it, right? In my opinion.
100%. 100%.
And it's okay in my mind. It's okay for gameplay to be not as, let's say, enjoyable and fun, for example, than example Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild, its focus is on the gameplay, less of the story, and that's okay. It's different types of games, and I wasn't going there expecting a Last of Us kind of story. It wouldn't have fit. But I'm just saying, I still think that you can do a serviceable story, but you can also just do a bit more. And that was, but like I said, I'm not taking any point out of my critique, let's say, of Breath of the Wild because of the story, because the story is the second. It's on the back burner, right? It's what makes you go forward and enjoy the gameplay.
I think that the story for Breath of the Wild was serviceable, but I do believe that making it essentially not mandatory at all. Like if you wanted to live the story, you had to chase those memories, those fragments of memories, and that was a bad choice for the game's story. Because I am sure that you haven't gotten all the memories, Kyle, haven't you?
I did get some, but not all.
See? So Jackie, I know he thinks the story is not great, but he enjoys it. And if it wasn't for the memories, I think you would say it sucks, right?
No, it's I think um, Zelda is this great quality of telling a story throughout the exploration and the gameplay. It's when you talk to the villagers and when you meet people and when you have these side quests and you explore the world and you find its mysteries. I think this is where the true story lies. I think it's where the interesting stuff lies. Is that you've got all this, discrete and almost hidden story of the whole world, and the more you speak to people, the more you start to understand. And I think that's an original way to tell the story. I don't think it's the best one. I don't think it tells the best stories, as I said.
And it's not
But it's
new
interesting
per
enough.
se, but
No, it's not new. It's not new.
I really like it also.
And yeah, I think it has a charm, and I enjoy it. Yeah.
In the end, it's been an hour and 40 minutes that we've spent talking about Zelda. I think we went around the gameplay, we went around the story, we went around the exploration. We might need to go and talk about the more RPG aspects, because Zelda never had stats like we saw in this game. And we talked about the bosses too, the divine beasts, the shrines.
I'm looking
Release.
through my list, and the only thing that I went through all my problems with the
yeah.
game there, like gripes with them. I'd say the only other thing was, but that's with any Japanese games. I find prompts are fucking too long, and they at one point I don't have to see him do a spin for a fucking coral seed every goddamn time.
Toot, toot, toot.
But
Yeah.
also maybe like when the blood moon would come, I really
Oh, yeah.
actually like the blood moon. But that cutscene, fuck. If I could delete it from the game, I would. There,
You can press start, but still I
We'll
get
skip
you.
it. We'll skip it.
But I'd be spamming it as soon as that beep, skip. No. But if not, everything else, like I said, I enjoyed the game. If I would give it a note, it would be 8/10. And even there, 8/10 is very critical. I'd even be able to put 8.5. I think 8.5 would be my mark. And it's a solid game, solid gameplay. They do stuff that like I said, they mastered some stuff. I've had it was a great experience. There's some memories that I have of the game of like stuff that I stumbled up on that I was just like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. Like, I'll give you an example. There's like this big labyrinth box
Yes.
in the middle. Loved it. When I saw it, I was like, holy shit, I need to go there. And I went there and it was fucking awesome. There was this island where you lose everything there.
Eventide Island.
I think that was my favorite fucking part of the game. I loved it.
How did you go there? How did you go there?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, because everybody has a story about how they got there.
I'm trying to remember. Probably glided there.
Okay, because there's that big cliff that you can get a good head start with gliding.
Yeah.
There is a raft, like you could take that little boat.
Yes. That's it. I took the raft.
Okay.
I remember. Yeah, now I remember.
And since it's water, you could also cryonis your way through.
One block at a time.
Fuck me.
Or if you got like real good, you could bomb jump there too.
Oof. Yeah,
I don't think I'm good enough. But I did see on you sent me actually on Twitter some clips of people doing some fights and stuff, and
oh yeah,
that's impressive. And also I'm gonna say it's one of the most entertaining speedruns to watch. It is like we had this conversation on the podcast. I will never do a speedrun in my life, but my god, I find them impressive and entertaining to watch. And every time it's games done quickly there, either the summer one or the winter one, I watch all the time the Breath of the Wild one because I find it super impressive.
It's amazing, man. People, what they're doing, the crazy strats and the optimization, like, it's crazy. Because remember, you're a butt naked Link going up there, and they gotta optimize on which enemy do they use their weapon, where do they go pick up their ingredients to make the extra strength boost potion or elixir, my bad. So things like that, and the strategies then to be able to inflict as much damage per second as possible and not get hit. It's crazy. It's a beautiful game. For me, if you gave it an 8, I would give it since it's not perfect, right? I think I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. But since it gave the industry such a stark before and after Breath of the Wild, and that everybody is doing better because of it, I will add an extra point. So it's a 10.5 out of 10.
You're so ridiculous with your scoring system. Every time I think, when you start, you're like, oh, it's not a perfect game, so I'm going to give it a 9.5. Every time I get trapped in what you're saying, I'm like, oh, he's getting reasonable. He's like, he's like very pondering everything, and he's like trying to make a good decision about his marketing, and then he pulls this shit out. 10.5 out of 10. To lose all meaning of what you're scoring. Oh well.
It has all the meaning in the world in my eyes.
Oh man, I love you, man.
Thank you, my brother.
When you were saying that, I was like, okay, like that's a change from when you used to 10. I was gonna say, like, you could give it a perfect score even if it's not a perfect game, just because everything else is just so much, like overshadows everything. And then you took and you just said that. Okay, well.
Yeah, well, this is what I think. I think that it's not a perfect game. It has a lot of issues, but I mean, all my favorite video games have some issues at one point. So it's not because you're not perfect that you cannot get a perfect score. So yeah, to me, it's a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
But
So
you see, I find I agree with 100% what you say, that it doesn't have to be perfect to get a perfect score. But I find it's like it doesn't make sense, but it makes sense,
Well, it's because I mean, when you rate movies, you get the same thing. Like, is there a perfect movie? I don't think there is, and it's the same thing for every piece of art. Is that there's no such thing as perfect, because it's all about taste and personal appreciation. So at one point, of course, you can give a 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 5, but it doesn't mean that it's perfect. We're not scoring exams here.
Yeah, exactly.
it is what it is, my friends. In all, Zelda Breath of the Wild got a, let me calculate, what's the average from the Container podcast? So it was 10?
9.5.
Something like that.
Plus 8 plus 10.5 divided by 3. A 9.5 out of 10, which is reasonable, I think.
It's completely absurd.
It's reasonable. I think it's absolutely in the, how do you say? It's not above 10, right? So it's a reasonable score for you guys.
I just like that you can counterbalance the 8.5 of Kyle just by adding points above 10. I wish I could do that for my exams. It's cool. When you get like a 60% and then you go, oh well, I get a 150, so it balances it out.
Yes. I wish to, man, but it's not the case. But
I'm gonna change my score back to minus 8.5.
This reminds me of the people on some video game sites, like Metacritic and some French sites also, where they go like, Oh, I know people are going to put a 20 out of 20, so I'm going to put a 0 out of 20 on that thing.
Yo, I hate those. Or the inverse, right?
Yeah, the inverse also.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
know people are going to underscore it, so I'm going to put a 20 out of 20. 100 out of 100.
Like, why, man? Why? People take
Oh.
scores way too seriously. We might have to talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah, some people.
Not like you, right?
I don't take it seriously. I'm just being rigorous and logical.
Okay. Well, episode 25 of the Container Podcast concludes on that. I don't know what the next homework is. Who had the privilege
The next homework.
to
I
give
think
us a
it was-
homework?
I think it was you.
Yeah, it's Momo. It's Momo's homework. I think it's going to be. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if it is indeed my turn to give out a homework, I will give you guys Xenogears on the PlayStation 1. It's gonna take you a couple of weeks, probably months, but you can do it. I believe in you guys.
Yeah,
like
so I would like to
70
take
hours.
this opportunity to say that I'm retiring from the podcast. This is my last one. You won't be seeing me again.
Okay. Let me postpone Xenogears for another homework. It's gonna be Uzumaki, the manga from Junji Ito, a famous mangaka that specializes in horror. So it's not a shonen manga, it's not a seinen manga, it's not a shoujo manga, it's not a... Do you know any other categories? Yeah, no, not that one. So I'm gonna stop you guys in advance.
I know another.
Yeah. So
I think you might be talking about comic books.
yes,
Comic books, exactly.
yes, and visual novels too. But no, it's actually I don't know how to classify it, but it's a horror manga, and it seems like it doesn't have much continuity. So like from one chapter to another, you're like, yo, what's happening? Is it like going to tell some different stories every time, or? But in the end, it will all make sense. And yeah,
Well, I think that it revolves around the same subject.
yeah, it's a lot of revolutions in the story. And remember, right? What's Naruto's last name?
It's Uzumaki also.
That's a good point, man. Remember what he has on his belly?
Yeah, I think we'll talk about it maybe during the podcast when we discuss about.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Uzumaki
fun.
manga.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
a good time. I wish that you guys take the time to read it during the evening/night time, because it gives it a little bit more, just that little bit more of that something, you know. If it's plain daylight, I don't know, man. It's like it's not optimal. You gotta optimize.
I get it.
And after that, whose turn will it be?
I think it's mine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Kyle's.
Good.
I already know what I'm doing.
Good. Well, I
That's
can't
great.
wait. It's not going to be very long. We might need to take a week break, so everybody has the chance to read it and all. But it's not a big homework, so it should be okay.
No problem. I'm gonna go back to when it's gonna be my turn. It's gonna be back to a movie.
Well,
We
it's been a
haven't
while.
done- It's been a while, but we're gonna go back to a movie.
And yeah, man, thank you for being there, boys. Like, no matter how long the hiatus, we somehow managed to come back united and stronger than before. Breath of the Wild 2, we're waiting on Nintendo's next presentation for that. And I think Kyle is gonna get the Switch OLED.
I'll play on the Switch. I already have a Switch. I'm not
You're gonna buy the OLED because you really like to give out your money to gigantic companies like Nintendo.
Especially to Nintendo.
Especially.
Cocksuckers.
And you, Jacky, you're still not gonna get a Switch, so you're gonna. He's not gonna play Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. He's just gonna watch us play.
Yeah, that's right. There's no way. As soon as they announce it and that they confirm that it's going to be exclusively on the Switch system, I'm going to buy it.
You know there is an
Nintendo Switch.
emulator for the Switch too, right?
Yeah, I know there is, but I don't play in those territories. Send me the link.
In the DMs, yeah, of course. So,
all right.
Until next time, everybody. Take care
All right.
and bye bye.
Bye bye.